Well, welcome to another Women Lead TV show brought to you by Connected Women of Influence. Super excited to be streaming on YouTube and our Facebook page and also on my LinkedIn profile. So I'm delighted to introduce a very amazing leading lady because this show is called Women Leading the Way. And we're going to be interviewing women who are women owners or women executives or professionals that really are focused on business and industry and how to see women flourish and thrive in business. With me today for my guest is the lovely, do a little bow, JJ, is the lovely JJ Jank. She is the founder of Desert Diva. I'm excited because I'm in California and you're in Palm Desert area. So I'm excited to have you on the show. And today we're going to be talking about how to work smarter and accomplish more, which I know every single business owner and professional wants to do that. So say hello to all of our watchers and viewers and welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone, and thanks, Michelle. I'm really excited to be here and spread my message of how to work smarter instead of harder, because I feel like everybody's already working hard enough.
You know what? I think we all kind of struggle with that, right? And then, this is the thing for women too, right? There's a difference for women is that women are really trying to find, continuing to try to find that work-life balance, which my personal belief is there is no such thing, but I do think there's a work-life something, and people have different terms that they use for that. But from your perspective and what you do, I just want our listeners to first tell us a little bit about what you do in business, because I know you are all about productivity, all about performance, and at the same time, utilizing our brain more effectively to get more done and be more productive. And I'm very intrigued with that. So share with our listeners a little bit more about you.
Thanks, Michelle. Yes, I'm a little bit of a nerd about neuroscience. That's really where all of this comes from, because productivity really starts in the brain. And I know that there are apps and there are things out there, but really for people to be as productive as possible, what you really need to learn is how your brain works and how to work with your brain instead of against it. And unfortunately, modern culture is actually very anti-brain. So all the distractions make it harder for people to focus and be more productive. Because basically, there are good times and it kind of depends on each person when their good focus time is, but that's the right time to be doing all of this, what I like to call the thinky work, right? The stuff that animals can't do. It's just us humans working with spreadsheets and doing strategic plans and all of that stuff that you really need to focus on. And all of that just really comes from the brain. So I have a couple of different programs. So there's a couple of different ways that I work with people. And my main objective is really to help people work smarter so that they're getting the right things done. So that way they don't have to work 12 to 14-hour days, which is actually makes you less productive.
Well,
and get work done.
For a second. Yeah, because I want to back up because there's so much good stuff here. I'm like, all right, so if you were, let's focus on business owners. Business owners, it's 24/7. We live, eat, breathe, and obsess about our business. So if you were looking at a business owner, what would be something that a business owner you would dial into to say, let's have you find your focus? Is that it, to find the most productive times? What would be some tips on that? Because I want to give our listeners some really good insight today.
Right. Yeah. So absolutely. So one of the things, and some people naturally know how it works for them. Like I sort of had stumbled into this for me personally, and then I found out why. It's based on sleep chronotypes. There are 4 different chronotypes. And what that means is that you have different sleep patterns and that there are different times of the day when you're going to be most productive. Because one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that our brains just really aren't built for thinking work for more than 3.5 to 4 hours a day. That's all you get. So if you're working longer than that, hopefully you're just doing administrative stuff, but you really are not going to be getting very good productive work done. If you're trying to work a 12 to 14-hour day, you're going to end up being busy instead of productive. So it's really important to get your focus tasks, the things that you really need to focus on. Like I work with, let's say, accountants, and so they need to be getting their tax returns and looking at that kind of stuff during the time that their brain is ready for that kind of work. And that time is going to depend on what your sleep chronotype is. So you probably heard.
Say that word again. Your what chronotype? I'm like,
your sleep chronotype. Okay. So you probably heard about morning larks and night owls, and I'd heard about them too, and I thought, well, that doesn't make any sense because I'm neither one of those. Somebody asked me if I'm a morning person or a night person. I'm like, I'm neither. I don't want to get up early in the morning. That's horrific.
I'm a morning.
Yeah. I don't want to stay up late at night because I am not productive late at night. So it turns out there are actually 4 sleep chronotypes, not 2. So you're a lion. When you're an early bird, where you like to get your stuff done. So the morning is a good time for you to be doing your strategic work or your focused work. I'm a bear, and about half the population are bears, and so we kind of work with the sleep cycle, right? We kind of get up around 6, 7 in the morning, go to bed, 10 or 11, and kind of in that area. And then for us bears, our really good focus time is between 9 and 1.
Okay.
And then there.
Go to some things because I know our limited time, but I'm thinking, like, I know you say you work with businesses. So when you go into a company, I mean, give us kind of an example of how you would work with an organization, help the team be more productive, how, the owner kind of like feels like they're accomplishing more.
Mm-hmm.
It's very frustrating many times when you're like, man, I'm on fire and some of my team is maybe not, or they're on fire and I'm kind of like, sluggish.
Mm-hmm.
How do you work with companies to be able to help them be better performers?
Right. Well, there are 2 ways I work with them. One is sort of my consulting work, which is where we really go in and do a productivity assessment of what's going on productively. And that's usually a combination of making, helping people themselves be more efficient, which means understanding their sleep chronotype, doing their work at the right time, managing their time and energy in a way that allows them to focus the most. And also sometimes bleeds into software systems. Sometimes people just don't have systems in place to allow them to be more productive. So that's kind of the consulting arrangement. The other one that I do is a half-day workshop, and I actually do divide it up for people like lawyers who don't necessarily want to give up 4 hours of billable time in a day. Right. And that one's really more educational. That's really about, okay, everybody in the team is going to find out what their sleep chronotype is. And that way the business owner and the team know what's going on. So if you have a whole bunch of bears where their productive time is between 9 and 1, you don't want to be scheduling meetings at 10 o'clock in the morning because they should be doing their work at 10 o'clock in the morning. On the other hand, if you have a bunch of early birds, and maybe you schedule your meetings for 11 or 12 because they're kind of done with their focus time. And then if you have wolves who are later night type of people, then maybe the morning is a good time for these kinds of meetings. So being able to see how everybody kind of works together, and how everybody has a different time to focus, and then thinking about time and energy management as well. Okay, so everybody's a bear, so you don't want to have meetings during the morning. You also don't want to have your people answering emails as soon as they come in, because that's distracting. That takes them away from their focus. So when is a good time, then you can kind of set company policy of, okay, we're gonna check our emails 3 times a day. We're going to put it in our autoresponders. Hey, we received your email. I only check emails during these times, and I will respond to you.
Do companies actually embrace that? Because I know that's the biggest thing most people will say is that I just feel like I never shut down because I'm always having to reply to emails, or response time has gotten absolutely ridiculous about people expect on their response. And I think that's anyway, just in our limited time. So I have a question. I would love to hear, if you don't mind sharing, because I want this to be really interactive, but I'm dying to know more. Like, what are some of the results that companies see as a result of kind of working with you? Because I know you've said that, I would love to be able to have, a better productive team. I'd like to be more, focused on, I guess, the focus, because you do that in the afternoon when you're like sludge. I'm just using very
exactly
words, but I think that explains it.
Yeah.
But what's a client story without telling us who they are?
Right. Yeah. Well,
what was the outcome?
Yeah, the afternoon, by the way, is a good time for sludge. If you're an early morning person, that's when you should be doing emails and meetings and all that kind of stuff that aren't really the things that move your business forward. But in terms of companies, there are a couple of different reasons why people might bring me in, right? So one reason is that they're really concerned about burnout, because their people are just taking too long to do their jobs because they don't know how to do them efficiently. So when you get a workshop in there, and my workshops are very interactive, and so that way everybody can learn about, okay, here's how I can get my job done in 8 hours, and then I can go home without feeling guilty because I accomplished what I needed to accomplish at work. Then I can go home, I can spend time with my friends, my family, my pets, I can do the hobbies and activities that I enjoy, which counterintuitively actually make you more productive. because your brain
Say
needs.
that again. I want everyone to this is such an important part because we don't think that way. We think more hours, the more I'm going to get done. But say that again. That's powerful.
Yeah. Yes, because it really is important. Your brain, the human brain, needs time to rest, right? It did not develop in an environment where we had spreadsheets and strategies and focused work.
Right.
So and being social is actually that's how we basically survived as a species on the savannah, right? Is by banding together. So social time is really important. Things like exercise. Yeah, I run into business owners who are like, I don't have time to exercise. And I'm like, hey, you're doing something wrong. You need to exercise, and not for weight loss purposes. It's for brain purposes and also mental health purposes. So when people do have that time, when they're able to get their work done, they're able to accomplish everything they need to accomplish, they don't feel guilt about going home at the end of the day because they did what they needed to do. And then they get to spend the time that refreshes their brain, recharges, time with friends, family, pets, hobbies, activities.
I like that you put the pets in there. The pets are important. They're family members too.
Exactly. Well, I'm a single lady, so yeah, I have pets at home. So all of these things are they're very important, and that allows your brain to rest. And it kind of like, if you think of your brain as having like a productivity tank in it, right? Yeah. And those kinds of things actually fill up the tank. And when you're working 12 to 14 hours, you are just draining that tank. And if you're not getting the exercise, you're not filling it back up. If you're not getting the sleep, you're not filling it back up. Not getting time with friends, family, and pets, you're not filling your tank back up. So it's counterintuitive, but really, if it's good for your brain, it's going to be good for productivity. And so all of the things that you enjoy are actually good for you.
I love that. The good things that we like to do, we don't do enough of. Right. That's a great analogy. I'm curious to know, because what I'm taking away is, number one, you've given me a whole idea of why exercise is important. So thank you for that, because it's not always about losing weight. I'm going to work on that. Number two, I think the big question is, it's like when you're a business owner, walk me through what a day would look like. So for someone like me, and I want to make sure there's bears, there's wolves, and then there's lions, right?
And there's also, we miss the dolphins. They don't sleep very well, so they're a little bit, generally their good focus time is around noon, so let's say 10 to 2, just because it's not too early, it's not too late for them. So yeah, there's 4. So if you're, and I'll just go with a bear, if you don't mind, because I'm a bear.
Absolutely not. Go.
So as a bear, I actually wake up a little bit earlier because my cats get me up. So I wake up at 6. A typical bear wake up time is more like 7, but it's close enough. And so I get up and I drink some water because you dehydrate overnight. So actually just drinking water, no matter what your sleep chronotype is when you wake up, is a good idea. Because hydration is also important for productivity. And I usually...
The whole wellness bucket is part of you. I like that.
Exactly. Yeah, so then I exercise in the morning, which is not... It's kind of interesting because that's not necessarily the best time for bears to exercise. Like, bears get a lot out of lunchtime exercise and also evening exercise. But if I get it done in the morning, then I know it's done, and I don't have to worry about it. And if something happens later on, then I have my exercise in. Right. So sometimes you do need to massage a little bit. Like, if you can't guarantee that you're going to get your movement in, because some people don't like the word exercise. So if you can't guarantee you're going to get your movement in, later in the day, then even if it's not the exact right time, do it in the morning, just to get it over with. And I have breakfast. Not everybody eats breakfast. And then I'm ready. So basically I don't check my emails when I wake up, because that just sets you off for the rest of the day on the wrong foot. So I don't check emails. So I get through my entire work morning. I get through my entire focused work without ever having checked my email. I don't check my email until after I'm done, because it doesn't. You know what it really is, though? Like, you just have to let people know, because most people don't need an immediate response. There are some people in some jobs that need immediate responses. Most people don't. Most people just need to know that you got their email and that you're going to get back to them.
Oh my gosh. This is great. I've only got a couple more questions for you, but I know we've got a scrolling link that shows your website. So go to jenniferjank.com. I'm just really curious, like, what would you like people to know, that we didn't talk about, more about what you do and how you help people be more productive and, get done and get better results, which I don't know why you just don't have a, $50 million company, because every business owner wants that. And I know we're talking, and I'm delighted to have you part of CWI now. But what's something we haven't talked about that you think business owners and those that are in business should know about?
Well, one of the most important things, and I don't know if this is actually going to reach out.
Are we going to have
Yeah.
a prop?
I was going to have a prop, but it's a little bit out of my reach at the moment.
Okay.
But I was actually my prop is going to be my phone.
Oh, okay.
The phone is your enemy when it comes to doing focused work.
Okay.
You need to turn off all notifications. Like, I haven't had email notifications even on my laptop for a decade because I want to get my work done. So, people can email me all they want. I don't see the notifications. I will look at it when I check my emails, and I batch my emails. That's another thing that we didn't really talk about, was that the brain gets very tired when you go from like different tasks to different tasks to different tasks to different tasks. So the more that you can kind of collect like tasks together, the easier it is on your brain. So check your emails in like a bunch instead of check my email, do a tax return, check my email, do a tax return, check my emails, do tax returns, check my emails, do my strategy plan, whatever the focused work is, and do that in batches. And sometimes, so you can batch out a day of work. You can also batch out during the week. So you can say, well, as a business owner, I am going to follow up with prospects on Mondays. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are going to be my client meeting times. Thursdays are going to be my marketing days. Fridays are my time to work on my business instead of in my business.
Okay,
so
let me challenge you on that, because I hear people that will say to business owners, like, you have these kind of like non-negotiable times that are this or that. And I really challenge that a bit, because, and we're not arguing, I'm just like challenging, saying that I almost feel like that's unrealistic, because here's my schedule, and you're trying to schedule with somebody else, and they've got kind of their parameters, and it's like these two butting heads. And I go, somebody's got to give on that. I just don't find that normally people, when I've been in situations where that's been, and I'm just like, I give it up. I'm like, okay. I mean, I want the call and the conversation with them,
Yeah.
the meeting. So what do you recommend? Because I feel like that's just I feel it's a little limiting, but again, I understand the focused time.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can open it up. So, for example, I do my connection calls. I'm basically open on afternoons, on Tuesdays, and then Wednesdays and Thursdays all day.
Okay.
So I think if you give people an option, if you have like an afternoon option and you have a morning option, and honestly, the morning option isn't great unless I'm not doing any focused work that day. Then I can say, okay, well, Wednesday mornings I'm not going to have my focused work time, but I will be talking to people. So that's it's still going to move me forward in my business. So that's okay. Some of this, I think people think of product. I mean, there are definitely there are ways that, you can maximize your productivity if you do things in a certain way. However, you're right. Real life doesn't necessarily allow for that. So then you do have to kind of figure out, okay, what does make sense? If I offer people a morning, that's not great for me, but I also offer afternoons on a couple of different days, then I do have the time to connect with people, which again is going to move my business forward. And some people like to do the day blocking, but others don't. And also, I don't time block in like 15-minute increments. Some people do, like they literally have like 9 to 9:15 do this. I would shoot myself. I mean, I'm like, okay, 9 to 1 is my focus time. And then after that, I'm doing other stuff, so it kind of, and that's where you really have to know yourself, and you really have to say, okay, am I going to be anxious if I don't have things blocked off in 15-minute increments?
Right.
Or is that going to make me absolutely crazy? And so I'm going to block off hours and be awesome with that, kind of thing. And like I was saying earlier about the movement, there's typically, they're better off doing it later in the afternoon, but I can't guarantee that will happen. So I'm just going to move my exercise in the morning, even though that's not the optimal time. Right. But I know that exercise is better than no exercise. So it's better to get it done, even at a time that's not optimal, than to potentially miss it.
Absolutely. No, these are great. And I think, what's amazing about this is, when you tap into the power of the brain, I think, that's what's exciting to me, and hearing the results that your clients are getting, because I think that, the brain is such a powerful thing. We don't use enough of it. We all know that. I think that's kind of logic. logic head, but to be able to find that focus and know that we're more productive at certain times versus others, and not to think that we have to work so hard. It's more about being, making, I guess, being, what is it they say, not productive, but oh, there's a phrase for it, and I cannot.
Not busy, but productive.
That's it. Maybe that's it. Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
it's about getting results. So I'd love it. We have 1 second left, seriously, and then we're going to wrap up. But what's maybe one thing you want to leave us with to get business owners to say, "Gosh, JJ, we need you." That's what I want people to do.
Um, yeah, I would say that I think that my half day workshop is really good education that people need, and it can be split up into lunch and learns if that's kind of easier to work into your schedule than actually building the block of half a day. But I do think it's important for people to learn about time management, time blocking, prioritization is a big one, and also how to make your systems work for you.
I like that. And then if people visit your website, which again we have, jenniferjank.com. Everyone should see it scrolling on the bottom of the screen. But does that have information for people about your workshops and how you work and consult with them? I love it. And seriously, I can't wait to have more and know more about you, because I think that's one of the parts that we were really excited to invite you into Connected Women of Influence for. So
Yeah, I'm so excited to be a part of CWI too. Thank you.
we're all that, right? We are that kind of professional community. And you were fabulous on our panel for our
Oh, thank you.
Live Summit. I thought that was so fabulous that we had, the wellness side of things, which were emotional, spiritual, physical, and
Mm-hmm.
came in with the kind of brain part of it. And it was almost like, oh, you've added a sixth column, to the whole idea of wellness. And I thought it was great, tap into your focus and where, you
There were
can.
some great speakers on that panel. Yeah, I really enjoyed being there. So thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you. It was a fun day. So we're going to be back for another Women Lead TV or TV show. I wanted to almost say radio show there, because this is a show for us. I love interviewing fabulous women leading the way in business and industry and enterprise. So for now, you can watch this online. You can see this on YouTube or on Facebook or on my LinkedIn profile. Jennifer, JJ, you were an amazing guest today. Thank you for being my leading lady. And to all of our viewers, we'll be back again next week for a Women Lead TV show online. So we'll see you next time.